all hell will break loose. Charles threatens Harry, urges him to cancel his book if wants return royal. Prince Harry has been urged by Charles to cancel his tell-all memoir after his pledge to honour King Charles. The Duke of Sussex appeared to offer an olive branch to his father, who he has a troubled relationship with, in a tribute to the late Queen on Monday. In his statement, Harry said he would honour Charles as he starts his reign. But outspoken broadcaster Mr. Morgan insisted the Duke should pull the plug on his forthcoming book following his promise to the new king. Writing for the New York Post, the Talk TV presenter said, "If this book is as bad as the palace fears, all hell will break loose when it's published, and the ensuing furor could depth-charge King Charles III's reign before it's even gotten going." So if Harry genuinely wants us to believe he has a desire to honor his father, as he said today, he should tear up his lucrative contract with Penguin Random House and cancel the book. The royals have been bracing for the Duke's book about his life, which is due out later this year. However, there are reports that Home, which is being published by Penguin Random House, could be pushed back to next year as the 37-year-old agonizes over which truth bombs to include. It comes as Harry made a nod to Charles in his tribute on Monday as he hailed his grandmother as a guiding compass through her dedication to her public role. He said, "In celebrating the life of my grandmother, Her Majesty the Queen, and in mourning her loss, we are all reminded of the guiding compass she was to so many in her commitment to service and duty. She was globally admired and respected. Her unwavering grace and dignity remained true throughout her life and now her everlasting legacy." Let us echo the words she spoke after the passing of her husband, Prince Philip, words which can bring comfort to all of us now. Life, of course, consists of final partings as well as first meetings. Granny, while this final parting brings us great sadness, I am forever grateful for all of our first meetings, from my earliest childhood memories with you, to meeting you for the first time as my commander-in-chief, to the first moment you met my darling wife and hugged your beloved great-grandchildren. The Duke announced plans for his tell-all book last year, promising it would be an accurate and wholly truthful account of his life. Harry said at the time, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born but as the man I have become. I've worn many hats over the years, both literally and figuratively, and my hope is that in telling my story, the highs and lows, the mistakes, the lessons learned, I can help show that no matter where we come from, we have more in common than we think. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to share what I've learned over the course of my life so far and excited for people to read a first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful." Pain etched across his face, crestfallen Harry knew he was too late to say his last goodbyes. After years of damaging disputes with his family, his grandmother remained his biggest ally. Following the tragic death of his mother, she was his most steadfast and guiding force, refusing to bow to a nation's grief and return to London until she felt they were ready. Harry knew he could always rely on her support despite deciding to leave his royal role behind and set up a new life in America with his wife and children. Even though he neglected to tell Her Majesty of his plan to announce his decision, before dropping a bombshell statement on social media angering his family and the institution, the Queen's deep affection for him outweighed his dissent. Since he learned of the Queen's passing, perhaps Harry has experienced more than a moment of regret as to where he finds himself now. Even his brother William, so long his closest confidant and person he shared the deepest bond, cannot bear to think about letting him back into the fold. Such is the nervousness of what he may say or do next to rail against the family. Their truce last week ahead of the Queen's funeral is a mere sticking plaster to wounds that run deep.